Call the meeting to order. Please rise and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, we've got a nice little crowd today. Welcome. We're on to item 3, approval of minutes of meetings held January 9th for our retreat and January 9th for our regular meeting. Can I get a motion and a second, please?
So moved. Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. That motion passes. On to persons wishing to address the school board on non-agenda items. We've got 2, actually just 1. Chad, you come up and you have 5 minutes. Please state your name and your address for the record.
Good evening. My name is Chad Bishop. I live at 7405 South Valencia Drive here in Sioux Falls. I am here today as a member of the Minnehaha Moms for Liberty chapter. I am here to advocate for parental rights in general and transparency in curriculum, materials, and IT-related services specifically. A practical example, my eldest, who is now a senior at Lincoln, was taking advanced placement physics as a sophomore. There was a point in time when she was really struggling with the course material, and she got so desperate that she actually asked her dad for help. What we understood from the communication to us by her teacher at that time was that the licensing of the copyrighted material used for the course prevented her from bringing it home. So we had to resort to using Khan Academy, and we made do with this excellent resource. However, I didn't have this problem 30 years ago when I took AP Physics, and I don't think first-year university physics has changed that much, even over 30 years. Directionally, in the spirit of transparency for parents, I would like to see the district provide access to verbatim copies of absolutely every resource used in the classroom. Such IT resources are cheap and technological challenge reasonable with enough time. If current materials or resources are limited by licensing and copyright law, let's find new resources for materials without such restrictions, or at least more permissive licensing. Opacity breeds suspicion. I am sure you can all appreciate why citizens are desiring more transparency from all levels of their government these days. In my 33 years as a volunteer coach, I have primarily coached soccer, basketball, and robotics teams. Of course, I have used a whistle. I am also fully capable of barking out instructions, though I only do that in practice, not during a game. One of the tools I use most often is the Socratic method. Ask the team member a probing question to discern true understanding. I also deploy this tool when mentoring young engineers and scientists. Now I understand from Bloom's taxonomy that I'm attempting to spur higher level thinking. You may have seen me deploy this method in this forum. Since we're all thinking adults, I'm sure it is understood that there are times these questions are meant to lead the team member, employee, or school board member down a certain path of inquiry. Sometimes we have a specific destination in mind. I will assume many of you have taken a DISC assessment. Many organizations employ this psychometric tool to better understand the dynamics of their teams. Their use is often framed in such a way that the participants are led to believe it will help them to better interact with one another. I found this to be more or less true. A more skeptical person may also understand that this tool can be used as a method by those in a position of authority to manipulate a subordinate. A few hundred questions over 60 minutes or so, and you can have a rough outline of a personality profile. It is both fast and cheap. Some are better than others. For example, in my natural style, I'm a 99D. I will adapt in a team environment to a 49D. Couple with values quantified as very high theoretical, high regulatory, and high altruism, it paints a picture of a Chad who is a team player, may overthink, likes rules, and has a desire to help do the right thing. My peers have said this is relatively accurate. A manipulative manager can take that information, question my altruism, question me breaking rules, question my diligence of thought, and spur me into my natural state as a 99D. D is for dominant, sometimes decisive. It can be and has been done to try and provoke responsive anger. All of that in 60 minutes and from a few hundred questions. I'm not speaking to the validity of the DISC model here. I'm simply trying to point out how quickly and cheaply a model of someone's personality and cognitive function can be created. If we look at online giants like Google, Amazon, Apple, Microsoft, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, or Instagram, there are publicly available and quantifiable measures of their success in building mental models of their users. One can simply look at the total market capitalization of these entities and understand they're pretty good at what they do. Without TikTok, the number is about 6 trillion. We understand that they have become exceptionally adept at selling us widgets. What the Twitter files are starting to expose to the common person is how adept they are at selling us ideas. We're also starting to understand that they weren't acting alone. If a state entity in collaboration, actually I'm going to use the word collusion, can control what we see, censor what we don't see, control when and how often we see it, they have an extraordinary amount of power to frame a narrative and control perception. I perceive a need for more discussions about this at all tiers of government. This is my attempt to begin to engage with this body in this forum to address some of the related issues. It is my understanding that the Sioux Falls School District has engaged in the past with an organization known as Panorama. It is my understanding that this organization is one that provides a service allowing you to easily do surveys of our children. The models built of our children's personalities, cognitive function, cultural beliefs, family strengths, or foibles have a lot of value to some entities. We'd like to better understand what safety rails the district has put in place to protect our kids and families both now and in the future. Please help us understand how the school district uses this service or similar services like it. Ultimately, we would want to know who owns the models, which are assets that are created. We would like copies of all the surveys. I'm guessing, like many things, this will be a process. We're willing to engage with you in good faith to work through it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Moving on to persons wishing to address the school board on agenda items. We have 2 speakers tonight. Eric Asmus, if you'd like to come up, you've got 5 minutes, and just state your name and your address, please.
You bet. My name is Eric Asmus. I live at 4000 South Tuscany Court. I addressed the board tonight because I've got some concerns with School Bus Inc. and their unreliability at times with the pickup of middle school students. Basically, I'm representing parents that have kids at the Marson Drive and Jesse James Court bus stop, whether they know I'm actually here or not. Back in September, we had a backup driver one day who decided to go rogue and not use the GPS system and skipped our stop, but picked up everybody else along the way. Our daughter called and said that they had been waiting at the bus stop for over a half hour. My wife had to leave work, go to pick up her and a neighbor girl, drive them to school. Unfortunately, the principal was out that day, but when my wife alerted the office, they were going to get a hold of School Bus Inc. She goes to leave and she just has this feeling in the pit of her stomach like, I bet there's still kids standing there. 10 o'clock in the morning, there's 3 kids still standing at the bus stop. Now, how the school hasn't done something about this at this point, I have no idea. She gives them the phone, tells them to call their parents so they're not taking a ride from a stranger to get to school. She gets them to school successfully. In the meantime, I called Peggy at the transportation. I was not very polite. I was quite emotional with her that day and later called back to apologize for the record. Was not very proud of myself, but it just felt like we shouldn't have a parent that's having to transport kids to school. I believe my daughter told us that happened on a day that back in maybe November, it happened again. It was a day that she was not actually on the bus, but the kids had just gone home and watched TV for the day. We worry about attendance, we worry about kids getting the education they need, but yet we have kids that have no idea what to do when the bus driver goes rogue and doesn't show up and they go home and watch TV for the day. Well, rewind to last Thursday. Luckily, our daughter was not on the bus that day, but we had a neighbor kid whose mother told us that he stood out in the cold for 90 minutes on Thursday as the bus stop was missed again. It's just completely unacceptable. I don't know how that happens. I don't know what we have to change with School Bus Inc. to make sure that kids get to school on time every day. It's a safety concern, okay? Any person could come by and offer those kids a ride to school, and I don't think anyone wants, in this world of sex trafficking and everything else, I can't imagine, okay? So we just gotta do better. We can't allow, School Bus Inc. can't allow their drivers to go rogue and didn't know how to use the GPS system. I understand the labor issues, we all deal with it, but missing stops is, like I said, asking for a bigger problem. I don't know if we need to adjust routes. I'm more than willing to help find a solution, but the kids need to get to school every day, and we need to know when we send them off walking to school that they're gonna get there safely. That's all I have, thank you.
Thank you. All right, and then lastly, we have Michelle Klimek. Sorry if I pronounced that wrong. Name and address, please, in 5 minutes.
My name is Michelle Klemick. I live at 4401 East Harwood Circle, Sioux Falls, 57103. Thank you for letting me speak. My husband and I have 3 children. One is enrolled full-time in public school, and I homeschool our other 2. We're disappointed to see that the Sioux Falls School District supports Senate Bill 57. We believe this bill targets and restricts options for alternative education students. Why do we believe this? Families that choose an alternative way to educate their children pay taxes that support the school district too. Homeschool students should have the same opportunities as public school students, and in 2021, the South Dakota legislature agreed and Senate Bill 177 was signed into law. My homeschool daughter loves to be on stage. She loves to dance and sing. We've taken her to see the Roosevelt High show choir performances. Amazing. I cannot, we're just blown away. And she loved it. SB 57 would not give her the opportunity to join because we live on the other side of town. Please, I encourage you, the school district, to reconsider the position on SB 57. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, moving on to item 6. Can I get a motion and a second to approve the agenda, please?
So moved.
Second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. That motion passes. And on to the good news report. Dan.
Before we have our school spotlight for the month of January highlighting Hayward Elementary, I wanted to draw your attention to an event that was held this morning in this very room, packed to the gills with high school students from all 4 Sioux Falls Public High Schools. And these students wish to become teachers someday. So these are students from our Teacher Pathway program. They met down here and heard from Dr. Stavum this morning. And then they also had small group meetings with our instructional coaches, doing some just getting to know one another and getting to know more about a particular level if they were interested in elementary, middle, or high school. After that, they boarded buses and either went to Augie, USF, or the Sioux Falls campus of USD to do visits. This is the second such visit that this group has had, allowing them to get onto a college campus, ask the questions, and inquire a bit more about the education needed to become a teacher as a profession. So this was a very fun photo to take, and you can see all of the smiling faces there. We hope to hire those students in a couple of years after they've gone through and received their certification as teachers. And you may recall that one of the first students who went through our Teacher Pathway program was hired on full-time for this school year. So this takes us back 4 to 5 years ago when we really talked about growing our own. Many times it's difficult to find the qualified teachers, particularly in the areas of special education, math, science, and such. And so we really are putting that into action and growing our own, and really hope we can hire some of these students when they come back to us after graduation. So wanted to share that bit of good news, and now I will turn it over to Derek Mawson, the principal at Hayward Elementary. And Derek is here to tell us a little bit about what makes Hayward Elementary special.
Thanks, Dan. Hopeful this is a good news report. Love everything about Hayward, joined by several staff members sitting there and a few parents and students today too, so they can talk and share a little bit more about Hayward with you. Do I just click through, Dan? Okay, thanks. Hayward Elementary School is a K-5 elementary school. It has two-way immersion in K through 3rd grade. It has EL host site. It is the largest Title elementary building in Sioux Falls. It was built in 1988, but experiencing some major remodel this summer, hopefully done by August. Hayward's vision, Hayward is committed to celebrating our differences by providing a safe and nurturing environment where all students, staff, families, and community members feel loved, trusted, and supported while we grow and learn to meet life's opportunities and challenges together. School demographics, we have 654 students currently, 86 employees. We are in the northwest corner of town, and we serve Renberg Elementary's English language learners. We are 42% Hispanic, 31% of our students are white, 11% Black, 8% multiracial, and 5% Native American, and 1% Asian. Over 70% of our students are economically disadvantaged. I suspect that number's a lot higher this year. That's from last year when we weren't pushing the free and reduced lunch applications as high as we are this year. What makes Hayward special, though, is our positive behavior intervention systems. We're in year 2, and so far this year, we've handed out 85,208 positive HAWK tickets. What HAWK tickets are symbolization of our expectations. We're the Hawks, so that stands for we're here, accountable, we work hard, we're kind, and we're safe. When we see students doing that, we hand them a ticket and give them, hopefully, some specific praise along with that ticket. Last year, our staff distributed over 220,000 Hawk tickets. We have Hawk Day celebrations once a month, where awards are given for Hawk of the Month, most approved attendance, and most improved behavior for the month. Student winners are drawn at least once a week. When all the tickets are turned into the office, teachers record how many tickets they handed out during the week, and then I calculate that number against office referrals, major behaviors, and minor behaviors multiplied by some algorithms to come up with a positive to corrective ratio. Right now, we're running at an 8-to-1 positive to corrective ratio at Hayward. What also makes Hayward special, I lost my mouse, is our MTSS structure. Still can't find it.
You can see it up on the screen.
Can I see it up there? Oh, I can see it right up there. Okay, that's easier. Hayward's starting its 4th problem-solving cycle for the school year. We recycle our school improvement plan every 6 weeks. Not sure why that's not popping up, sorry.
Deanne's coming to help.
Thanks, Deanne.
I don't know if I'm gonna save it.
You might have to escape and show other screens.
Well, I'll just talk a little bit about our MTSS structure. You don't really need the visual. So our MTSS structure is made up of teachers and other professionals we have in our building. It is comprised of a group of teachers who serves on other leadership teams in our school. So we have a math leadership team, a reading leadership team, and a PBIS Tier 1 team, and a PBIS Tier 2 team. So we just turned over our cycle. So we just had all these meetings. We had a reading leadership meeting where a grade level representative from each grade level comes. We have a math leadership team where a grade level representative from each team comes. But there is at least one MTSS member on those teams also, in addition to our PBIS team. Then after those meetings where we review our school data, we go back and with the MTSS team create our new school goals for the next 6-week cycle. We create goals where we want to see them met during collaboration. We create behavior goals, and we really study those hard. So like I said, our SIP's turned over every 6 weeks, but that's okay, Dan. No worries. We have an outstanding base team. 2 of those members are here today, Ms. Toffelmeyer and Ms. Mation. Our base team meets every Wednesday where we review behaviors throughout the week. We review the majors and minors and come up with specific plans. Our HAWK plan is very generic. It's for any student who meets the qualifications of Tier 2. We have check and checkout processes that start with the generic HAWK plan, and parents are contacted right away by either myself or Mrs. Greenfield, our assistant principal, and then we meet with them and go over the expectations. Teachers are also given 2 clickers if we feel that's necessary to keep track of their positive to corrective statements directed to those students who need more of more supports in the classroom. If a student's not making adequate progress with that generic plan, we start skill acquisition groups with them. As part of our Tier 2 process, our Tier 2 teacher leads those groups. If progress is still not being met, a parent meeting is held and the student is placed on more of a specialized plan directly related to the goals that they need to improve upon. And that is then created by our behavior specialist that we house at Hayward, and that student is now considered a Tier 3 student. Avera Family Counseling and Southeastern Counseling are now offered if that's not already happening. And then if progress is still not being met, our behavior specialist does a full functional behavior analysis and creates a highly specialized plan, and parents are scheduled to meet with administration weekly to review progress. This is also the time we bring them into the SPED process if the student is not already on an IEP. Like I said, BASE meets weekly to review the data. I'd pull it up and kind of show you what that looks like, but it's really not that interesting. And the BASE team is assigned students to check in, check out with. We each have a caseload. We have been just tremendously fortunate to have started the FADE process with a lot of our students have been involved in the Tier 2 process at Hayward. And the FADE process begins when a student is achieving 80% or more on their check-in, check-outs. They're able to earn a certain amount of points throughout the day. And if they're hitting that 80% mark regularly, we start the FADE-in process. Check-ins will become less frequently, rewards will become smaller, and students' FADE-off plans are celebrated at our monthly Hawk Assembly. I have one student success story I want to share with you. The Hardells are here. Hunter Hardell and Hunter Hardell Sr. and Hunter Hardell Jr. Will share their story if we have a minute.
Absolutely. My name is Hunter Hardell Sr., and this is my son, Hunter Jr. Hunter is diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder and ADHD, which he is doing wonderful with now. A big thanks to Hayward. He was struggling with aggressive behavior and impulsive decision-making. And it was almost daily that we were getting calls from the school. We let Mr. Mawson and Ms. Greenfield, Mr. Bradfield know that we were highly committed to his success and that they could call us anytime they needed. He was given a 504 and an IEP. They've tailored to him with letting him eat lunches and breakfasts in the office, taking time to talk with him and process things. Unfortunately, his last school was really quick to just send him home. But thanks to Hayward's, kind of constant contact, he's now been, I think, close to 40 or over days without any incidents. He's kind of been a complete turnaround and almost a perfect student at this point, and we're really proud of him. So, but that comes from great administration, and all three, Mr. Bradfield, Mr. Mawson, and Ms. Greenfield have been excellent at helping Hunter. So we're very thankful. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Just wanted to share their story. It speaks to the power of parent partnership, and we're definitely cultivating that and trying to build that at Hayward. Lastly, a couple of our parent events that we're really proud of. We had math night, reading night, and title breakfast this year. Title breakfast is always a huge turnout where we show our title video, invite parents in for breakfast, shows them how we spend our title funds and what we're committed to at Hayward. My favorite event, which there's some pictures up there, Miss Meza is here in the audience. She kind of runs that night. It's called Somos Uno. It means we are one. So we invite all of our families. We really celebrate our Hispanic culture at Hayward and our two-way immersion. Last year, our attendance was incredible. I wish I would have counted. I didn't. I will this year. But it was definitely our biggest and most well-attended family event. But that's Hayward in a brief nutshell.
That's great. Thank you.
Thank you.
I love that you mentioned the parent connection because, yes, you thanked Hayward, but thank you as well for being good partners with the school because that's the success for your son. So thank you.
All right, moving on to conflicts of interest. We didn't have any new ones for this meeting. So moving on to approval of the consent agenda. Can I get a motion and a second, please?
So moved.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. That motion passes. And then on to the supplemental consent agenda, approval of claims to Avera Health. Can I get a motion and a second, please?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That motion passes with one abstention from myself. And then on to B, approval of claims to Sanford Health. Can I get a motion in a second, please?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That motion passes. And on to, oh, and with one abstention from Board Member Ryder on the Sanford claims. On to the reports of the superintendent.
Got down there so fast, I wasn't scrolling with you. So tonight, we have our guests with us from School Bus Inc. for an update and just kind of an overview of different components of the service that they provide to our district for transporting our students. So we're going to ask you to come up with your report. And if you would, introduce yourself and your teammates with you.
Okay, thank you. I'm Warren Lanphier. I'm the Director of Operations here in Sioux Falls, and I'm with Josh Kennard, who's also Director of Operations. I think some of you have met him before. And then Patrick Reinert, who has recently came to us. He's Transportation Manager here and is overseeing the day-to-day operations of the yellow school bus here. He just came to us from Fort Collins, Colorado.
Welcome.
So first, I wanted to start by just briefly thanking, I think Eric is here for his comments tonight, and also apologizing for the situation that his kids and the other kids in his neighborhood had to deal with there. I know it was having to wait that long, whether it was in the fall or just this past week, wasn't okay by any standard. The situation, excuse me, as it turned out, what was a training issue for us. We have a FedEx driver that works for us that he can't work on delay days, so he only drove his first tier, and then we had a sub driver that drove the second tier, and he was struggling with the Wayfinder app, and I worked with him today actually and showed him how to adjust the times on it so that with the 2-hour delay, he can adjust and look at it so it shows that he's on time and running. So he actually ran the route, but he ran it 30 minutes early. So he hit all the stops. He just hit it before he was supposed to be there. We ended up sending out 2 other buses, and by the time they got out there for their stops, it was significantly late. So again, I apologize for that. The driver, Bert is his name, the FedEx employee that works out there. He's actually an exceptional driver. That's probably why they've only had the 2 issues, and it only happened when he wasn't working on those days. So what you're seeing on here right now is a summary of basically the first semester of the runs per day, then our average lates per day, showing the beginning of the year, and then going through of our on-time percentage. And that kind of breaks down by how our hiring and our pipeline has improved throughout the year. And I'll go into that here in just a second. It's improved significantly. Recruiting's been going very well, not just with school bus drivers, but also with bus aides. As we've been able to recruit and get people on board, we've been able to add bus routes and get people into those seats and get them there more consistently, which has allowed us to get to campuses more consistently and on time. Down on that next line, I've actually changed the numbers since I created this last week. So the current driver total now is actually 94 instead of 92. The current aide total dropped to 44, but that's because 2 of those aides became bus drivers. We do try to encourage our bus aides to become bus drivers because, one, they've been working with the students. It's a great opportunity for them to make a little bit more money. They've got the experience. They know where the schools are. They know town. They actually know a little bit about the technology. In fact, some of our bus aides help teach some of our drivers how to use the technology. So it actually ends up working out pretty good. This next piece of information, the KPIs, that's just a little bit of data. It may not mean a lot to you just looking at it, but the GTC uptime, that's the ground traffic control, that's our Zonar, that's what we use for our GPS. And that kind of ties everything together when it comes to our tablets. It shows that it has worked, has been on and working pretty much effectively the entire time that we've had it, which is exceptional. It's had a couple of outages this year, but it's had very little effect on our operations. The student events, you see that, that's every time a student scans onto a bus. So it works out to about 5,000 scans in the morning, 5,000 scans in the afternoon when you divide that out over the year. I think the exciting thing, and it probably from the reviews and what you guys, I know what you guys hear, it may not be, but if you give me a chance to talk about it a little bit, is the stop finder. The district's activation rate is one of the highest in this company's portfolio at 35%. You know, when you look online, you look at reviews, and I don't know if any of you have ever submitted a review, but I mean, how often do you submit a positive review? It's most people don't submit positive reviews. And if you go right now and you go and look at Here Comes the Bus, it's the app I used down in Texas before I came here. When I first signed up for Here Comes the Bus, they had a 2-star review in the App Store. If you go on there and look at them right now, I think they're 4.7. It's just how it is. They start out, they're new, they're building, they get better, and that's how it grows. I've talked to parents in this community, and Missy says that I'm crazy for telling people where I work sometimes, but I do talk to parents in the community that have this app and they use it. Most of them are high school parents, but they love the app. They use it every day. They love to know that their kids are getting on the bus. It works great for them. I'm going to skip down just a little bit here. We'll come back. Let's see. There's an example here that I talk about. There's a parent here on the one that says the Winrow fee route. This is a parent I worked with throughout the entire month of December. It was actually grandma that was going out to the bus stop. I worked with her through email almost 3 times a week. I would get emails from her, and they were struggling with it because they couldn't see the bus or they weren't getting the attendance. And as I worked with our partners at TransFinder, and I worked with Missy, and I worked with the parent, we realized that one, the bus driver was logging into the device, was logging into the Wayfinder, and they thought that they were using it correctly because when they logged in, they saw the list of the stops and they saw a map come up. And so they would drive around town, they'd see their little bus moving around, and they thought that that's all that it did. They didn't realize that there was more to it. So when I got on the bus with them and realized that they needed to push one more button that said navigate, then that allowed the students to actually, when they swiped, to check their attendance. So from that day forward, both of the kids that rode that bus, their attendance started to show up. And then after that, there was the substitution issue. So we also recognized that they weren't seeing the bus on the map. They weren't seeing the bus move around on the map. And it was from working with this parent that we figured out that one of our dispatchers wasn't swapping the bus correctly in the app. And once we identified this problem going forward, this fixed not just the problem for this particular parent, but it fixed the problem for every other parent that wasn't seeing the bus in the app too. So it's just, you know, as with any technology, there's growing pains with it, and you know, my staff continues to learn with it, and then they will continue to learn and get better, and that's what we plan to continue to do from now and through the rest of this year, and hopefully years to come. We're continuing to work with a team from C&I Solutions and TransFinder and Zonar. We're meeting twice a week right now. TransFinder just did a big update here about a week or so ago, which caused a few issues with their reporting and stuff, and that it caused a lot of problems for us the first couple of days last week. But they're really committed to making things work. So they've got, again, a whole team of their technicians meeting with us and troubleshooting any of these things. They took care of most of the issues right away with fixes. And anyway, we feel confident that the bugs that they have will get worked out. One of the things that I'm really happy about is partnerships with the district that we're working through. You know, before I came up here, I worked in PBIS down in Texas for 5 years, and when I heard you guys were doing it here, I was really excited. So I asked if we could participate in here, and I don't remember the lady's name that invited us to take part, but we got 20 of our drivers and aides trained now. And so they went through training 2 weeks ago, and they're going to be going through another training here in another week. I hope we continue to be able to do that, because it's one of the things I think is really exciting is to be able to have the kids hear the same things in the classroom or same thing on the bus as they're hearing in the classroom. And that's something that I continue to try to do going forward, is to work on those district and campus partnerships. This just shows you who the staff we have now. We're actually now fully staffed in our office. That is something we haven't been all year. Really, we've got, with hiring Patrick, we just hired a new dispatcher. Things are really going well there. It gives us an opportunity to, once the dispatcher's fully trained, we'll be really doing well with that. That'll improve communications there, make things a little bit more, it'll just make things nicer for the staff that are working there, and it'll improve the communication with the campuses. My plan going forward is, because we know that we have opportunities to get better, is to improve community communications, to continue building these district and campus partnerships. I have a meeting tomorrow morning with Diane Kennedy at Lowell, because I know we have some opportunities there, and to work, see what we can do to improve our bus routes with Lowell, to continue to train and invest in PBIS, partner with the campuses, because we know that we have behavior problems on our buses, and that's one way I'm going to improve retention on our buses, is if we can improve behavior on our buses, and I think PBIS is one way of doing that. And our training program within our own operation, it's improved substantially in the months that I've been there. We just tested 3 new drivers who passed yesterday, and the state tester that tested them said they were the 3 best applicants that he has ever tested from SBI in the time he's been testing. So it just goes to show that the things that we are doing now will show up on the bus down the road. So that's all I have to say. Do you have any questions?
Yes, so thank you. I'm glad you ended with what, obviously we're humans, we make mistakes. There's new technology. We've all had to live through some of those things, but what we learn from those things and what we do to change those to go forward. And thank you for listening to parents, because it's important as a partner of the school district for you guys to help us in these situations, because you don't want those kids out there either. And we don't, and we have a duty to them to communicate that. So that communication is really key to all of us. And I'm wondering, with all this snow, what communication you might have, like with the city, public works or whatever, to also help you with your route planning and so forth with that, when that's the snow removal is going on while you're trying to pick up kids and so forth.
So, excuse me. So one of the things that we started doing, just as far as the snow removal goes, is my drivers do report to me anytime that they have problems, and we do submit snow reports into them. I put down in that snow report who we are and where that's coming from. We've talked with the city. I do have a pretty good relationship with the city. I made that relationship the first day that I got here with the city, and went down there and met with them. They actually invited me to be on their citizen advisory board. So I try to communicate with them as much as possible when it comes to that sort of thing. They said there's not much we can do when a bus is stuck on a road and there's cars and there's nowhere for them to go, but they said they would do what they can when they can.
Well, I think, and we've shown, I think, through the last couple of big snowstorms that we've had, that obviously the communication between school busing our own administrators here, the city. I mean, that is key in making sure that we know whether we're going to do a 2-hour late start or cancel school altogether, because we have to work together in conjunction to make sure that everyone is safe getting to school. So just appreciate that partnership that you have.
I've appreciated the conversations that we've had prior to those events. It's been very productive and helpful.
Well,
Some of
thank
the,
you.
excuse me,
No, go ahead.
some of the conversations I've had with parents is continually being late to school. So they're missing the first hour of class or the first 40 minutes or whatever it is. How's that coming?
Well, I think that it's coming. I think that we're doing. I think we've made great strides on that I go back. As our late reports have shown, I think that most of our buses are getting to school within, if they're late, they're not getting there more than 5 and 10 minutes. I don't think we have much, unless it's snow related or something that's related to an accident or some sort of incident. We're not having lates that are like that at this point.
Okay.
Let's all hope we don't have another winter like this. I think this is kind of an anomaly for us, even though we're in South Dakota. It's been 20 some years since we've had this much snow. So we can always plan for the worst, but until you experience it, you don't really have an opportunity to test that out. And when we as private citizens are having trouble getting around streets ourselves, to expect that a bus is going to be able to get through some of those very narrow or very deep places is going to be challenging for you guys as well. So I think, having patience and giving grace is important as well, even though we do have the expectation that our kids get to school, but we want to do it safely and we want to do the best that we can, and not just we have to get to school. And so we're going to do it at all costs kind of a thing. So I just think it's important for everybody, for you to have grace with parents, for parents to have grace with you guys, and really work together to make those decisions on what's going to be best going forward.
I definitely think it goes both ways, and I think a lot of parents have been really good and the campuses actually too. We've called in and said that we can't get to this stop or this stop, but the bus is at this corner, and we'll call in and say that we can't get there, and they'll do the best they can to let the parents of the kids know that are at that stop that this is as close as we can get, and because there's been days that's been the scenario.
Yeah.
I think we recognize the hiccups and during this transition, also the improvements made. And I would say, above all this, what I hear from parents is just the real need that we have bus service, and the importance and significance of that, given the size of the boundaries and that we have a large percentage of working parents, that they need this sort of transportation for their students to get to school. So you're providing a resource that is needed in our community, and to the extent that you've given attention and we are seeing the improvements, in addition to the partnership with the city, it's appreciated because this is a true need for our community. Thank you.
I promise that we'll continue to get better all the time. We will do that.
Thank you very much. This is a good opportunity as well. I asked Deanne Conrad to push something out in one of our next newsletters too, but the more people that are using the app, the more people who know and can help troubleshoot, because of the users, we were able to uncover some other issues that I'm sure would have been common to others. So we want to make sure that people continue to do that. And we had another good parent point through his information, is that families always need to have a plan. If something goes wrong, they need to know who to call, if it's a parent first or to walk to a neighbor or whatever. That's always a good thing to remember, no matter what, before and after school. So good points, and we appreciate your diligence. We look forward to continuing to smooth out some of the rough spots, and kudos to the drivers, because I, for one, don't want to be driving a bus in the winter that we have had. So thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Saban. Thank you, Board.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. All right, can I get a motion and a second to acknowledge the School Bus Inc. update?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That passes.
Switching gears to our dual enrollment update. This is exciting news Dr. Boyson is going to share. As you know, we've been trying to continually add to the number of students who are taking advantage of the many dual credit options that exist in our district. So I'll turn it over to you, Dr. Boyson.
Thank you, Dr. Staven. Good evening, school board. Thanks for having me here tonight. I'm going to provide a little background on where we've been with dual enrollment for student participation and credits earned, and where we are currently in the Sioux Falls district. It falls under the priority area of academic success. 2014, the legislative session approved a budget to request and provide funding for students for dual enrollment courses in South Dakota through the public universities. The dual credit program allows students to enroll in coursework at $48.33 per credit hour, which is approximately a third of the cost per credit hour at the 6 public institutions across the state. The district partners with universities to offer dual credit courses, both face-to-face and online. Currently, the Sioux Falls School District offers multiple courses with universities. We do follow the Board of Regents outlined as the eligibility for juniors and seniors. So a junior in high school has to have a ACT composite of 24, or 1/3 of their graduating class in the upper ranks, or a GPA of 3.5 on a 4.0 scale to qualify to participate. High school senior, that eligibility changes just a little bit with that ACT composite score of a 21. Have to be in the upper half of the graduating class, or a cumulative GPA of 3.25 and a 4.0 scale. Courses offered in the Sioux Falls School District, as stated below or above, we have courses that we offer on site with our teachers. And we have 3 universities currently that we are offering those courses through: Sioux Falls Southeast Tech campus. We have English, math, welding, carpentry, Academy of Finance, and computer science. We offer credits through STC with that. USD, we have college algebra, speech, Academy of Finance courses, intro to financial services, and our teacher pathway courses that you saw all those fine students up there on the screen prior to this with our good news report. Our 2 largest courses offered on-site are college algebra and speech. And so this year we have 232 students taking advantage of college algebra and 110 in the speech. And on a slide later, you'll see that partnership with USD. You'll see a large red bar on there, and that's why, because those 2 courses make up a large chunk of those. And then at Dakota State University, we partner with that computer science and that cybersecurity, so hardware, introduction to cybersecurity and networking. So this slide shows how we have increased those dual credit opportunities for students. In 2018-19, we had 297 students participate with that, and they took earned 691 credits. Fast forward to this, or last year, because that's the data, the latest data we have, we had 752 students enrolled, earning 2,147 credits. So great opportunities for those students to move forward with their post-secondary plans. So then we looked at it by high school. And what high schools are students taking advantage of those dual credit opportunities? And on your right, 2018-19, you can see our 3 high schools, and by color, who took advantage of those dual credit courses, and then move over to 2020, 21, 22, first year of Jefferson. And so you could take that Jefferson bar and that Roosevelt bar by color there. You can see that would have made the Roosevelt bar for the most part in the previous years. And so we're really distributing those courses, and students across the district are taking advantage of those equally, with Jefferson being a small senior class for their first year open. So that's fun to see. And then if you wonder which universities are we taking the students enrolled in most, you can see by color. We tried to put them by color. And that 21-22 year, again, read for USD, that college algebra and speech, a large number of those students taking advantage of that opportunity. And those are our on-site opportunities. There are a multitude of courses available through the Board of Regents site that families can go out there and enroll. They still have to work with their counselor on site to complete that paperwork, get the sign off so they get the credit at the high school and the university. So with that, the Sioux Falls School District will continue to look for opportunities to partner with local universities to support dual enrollment courses for students. Dual enrollment allows students to receive both high school and college credit at a reduced rate to jumpstart their post-secondary education. With that, I'd ask you to acknowledge the dual enrollment update and stand by for any questions.
Thank you. I was speaking with a parent from Florida who happens to be on the school board there and was shocked. In their state, students can graduate with an associate degree by the time they graduate from high school. So these kids can obviously start taking dual credit much earlier and then also have more opportunities. And I know we've been pushing to ask the state Department of Ed as well as Board of Regents to change that, to maybe push that down so we could start our LPN project on that. So any parents out there, we need your help trying to get that law changed, because I just think what an obvious opportunity for these students to graduate high school with an associate degree of already 2 years of credit of school that's at a much discounted rate in their pocket.
And some of our states that we neighbor also have that opportunity for students that they can start at an earlier time with those dual credit opportunities, so they can walk across the stage and get their associates and their high school diploma at the same time.
Yeah.
So.
I just did, real basic math, but that's if you look at the number of credits that people have earned, that's like a value of over $322,000 of money saved. Obviously it costs about $100,000, but when you think about the value that students get by taking these classes, it's the educational value, but it's also a financial impact to students too that makes going on for whatever your post-secondary is a lot more affordable. Plus, it's a good preparation to help you to be ready for those classes in a different environment or a different rigor than maybe you're used to taking from a high school course. So many benefits that just encourage students to, we talk a lot about AP, and I think it's about a balance. AP classes are great, dual credit is great. Try some of both and really get a good taste for what some of the classes might be at that postgrad or post-high school level. So great to see the increase in the number of students that are participating too.
Thank you.
Anything else? All right. Can I get a motion and a second to approve the dual enrollment update?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. That motion passes.
Okay, next we have Mr. Kreider, who's going to give us an update briefly for items that are subject to a public hearing so that we can then move forward with some next steps on these capital improvement projects. So with that, I will turn it over to you, Mr. Kreider.
Okay, thank you. We've got 6 projects tonight. Let's see if I can operate this correctly, but as required by law, we're having a public hearing tonight. We'll go through all of them, then you can open it up for the public's input. And our first one is Northwest Elementary. This is one of the big projects on the bond. And the project will construct an elementary on a 10-acre site south of George McGovern Middle School. It'll be a planned reuse of Sotomayor. We've had a first meeting with groups from Susan B. and Sotomayor and looked at those. So we'll be meeting them again once we start getting the visual and the elevations and so forth. They had a few little tweaks on the inside, and we'll be incorporating those. The school will be approximately 83,000 square feet, designed for about 680 students. The project will also construct parking lots, drop-off areas, and playgrounds. We'll be coordinating with several different things that's going on out there. The work will also include construction of adjacent streets, and which will be shared with the city and the developer as well. We're not sure who's going to be leading that street construction project. We're meeting with the city and developer to determine some of those things at this point. Like I said, it's part of the capital improvement bond. We plan on bidding that summer of '23 with completion for spring of, hopefully winter, spring of '25 for a fall '25 opening. It'll give us quite a bit of time. It was very similar to when we did George McGovern, and gave us a lot of time to get the furnishings and equipment in place so staff can start moving in the summer. As you can see, this is what's in the original bid, about $21.6 million was in the original bond form. And there'll be some inflation adjustments with this, I would imagine. Right now, we're sitting fairly well in the overall bond program. So so far, I think I'm feeling good yet. Okay.
And just for the public, we already own that land. That's why it's not
Yes.
included in that project.
Okay, number 2 is Hayward Elementary. This is also a part of the bond. This will construct a new storage area on the existing gymnasium, convert existing band stage area to in the multi-purpose room to storage to meet the district standards, then renovate existing media rooms into a band, orchestra, and general music classroom. This has changed just a little bit from the original concept, but we're utilizing the space a little bit differently. And so some opportunities came. That's why this came about a year later than we originally had planned. So then we're integrating some capital outlay projects. We'll be renovating the existing classrooms, removing existing walls, constructing permanent walls with new marker boards and tack boards, updating ceilings and lighting in the classrooms. This is very similar to what we're doing at JFK. What we've done 3/4 of that, and we'll finish that one up this summer. And we'll also be updating fire alarm, intercom, and clock systems in that building. So this project will be bid spring '23 with completion scheduled for August '23. As part of the bond and capital outlay budgets. Looking for the bond at about $650,000 and capital outlay around $2 million. And I've kind of adjusted it based on the JFK, the bids that we received. Okay, number 3 is at the Learning Lab. This is the early childhood classrooms and playground renovation project. This project will construct renovate 3 existing science lab in the early childhood classrooms with restrooms. We'll also take some adjacent space, converting that into a changing room, restroom, laundry room, and some storage area that's getting displaced currently. And then we'll construct a fenced-in playground area on the north side of the facility. This project is about ready to go out for bids, so we'll be bidding this in February '23, and with completion August at '23, ready for the fall school year. That's in the current budget, is in the current capital outlay, and a little bit for next year. And construction costs is about $560,000 for renovation, and playground about $250,000. Now they put in for a Head Start grant for the playground, so we'll see if hopefully we'll get that. But we're covered both ways.
And just to clarify, this is out at the old New Tech site is where
That
the
is
Learning
correct.
Lab is, for people who didn't know that.
That is correct.
So those science classrooms used to be New Tech classrooms for high school students, and now they'll be renovated into early childhood classrooms.
That is correct.
for little people.
There actually were Regents classrooms. I don't think New Tech used them very much, so they've been sitting vacated for quite a few years now. So it's going to make that building fully operational and functional. Okay, the next one is Laura Wiley Elementary. It's a drop-off lane and playground reconstruction project. We'll construct a drop-off lane on the east side along Jefferson Avenue. I was surprised. I had a neighbor call me and thought this was the most wonderful thing when she was saying there's just not enough room with all the snow there. So we made somebody happy. We'll be reconstructing the existing playground and relocating the play structure to improve site drainage. This is very similar to what we did at Garfield Elementary in 2018. So this project will also be bid in spring of 23 with completion of August 23. And it's part of the capital outlay budget, and total project cost is $830,000. And these numbers include the professional services as well. Next one is Jefferson High School and Southeast Technical College. This is a connector road and sidewalk project. The project will extend the existing roadway and sidewalk from Southeast Technical College to Terry Avenue. The approach is actually already there. We put that in when we did Jefferson, so we've been thinking of this project for a while. Basically, we'll provide a link from Jefferson High School to Southeast Tech. Project will include installation of lighting along the road, and we're also thinking of providing the signage for Career and Technical Academy down on their place as part of this project. Okay, this project will be bid spring of 23 with completion by August 23. Project costs will be shared 50-50 between Southeast Tech once you move the signage out of there with Southeast Tech in the district, and that's in our 22-23 capital outlay budget. Construction costs and professional services, about $575,000 for that. And the final project is at Southeast Technical College. It's a health simulation center project. This project will renovate about approximately 33,000 square feet of the existing Zeal building into a health simulation training center. The project will construct various simulation labs, surgery tech, operational rooms, emergency room, LPN labs, cath labs, patient care rooms, and will also provide the related support spaces associated with that, and also have some general classrooms. This simulates what a hospital and healthcare is. I think everybody's pretty excited about this one. The project will be constructed using a construction manager at risk process, with bids being received at various times during the spring, summer, as construction goes on. And completion for the fall of, it'll be basically the second semester of the 24-25 school year. So it'll be about January, they'll be starting. Project will be funded through several sources. Southeast Technical College, it'll be Avera and Sanford are part of this, and with the furnishings and equipment being funded from the state of South Dakota. So estimated project costs at this time is about $5.5 million for the renovation project, and furnishing equipment about $4.5 million. Quite a bit of sophisticated equipment is going to be purchased for this project. So total project cost is about $10 million. So.
The state of South Dakota also contributed a large sum to this, as well as the city of Sioux Falls. So just to know, this is not coming from the Sioux Falls School District budget. It's coming from a little from Southeast Tech, but mostly these healthcare partners and other partners too.
Yep, correct. Okay, so we're at point for public hearing.
We'll open it up for a public hearing. We'll close the public hearing. Thanks, Jeff. And ask for a motion and a, still have to do that?
I just wanted to say something quick. I just want to say, I think it's great that we're in a public school building and we have these public forums and these public hearings to receive this input with public dollars, because I think that's so important. And I know when the public watches us and they see this go through this, that we've looked at this for 5 years coming. I mean, these have been many projects, so it's not like we're just seeing this for the first time. These are things coming forward. So we take that very seriously, and realize that we want to be very transparent with this budget and how we're going forward on this. So I look forward to all these projects. I think it's just going to be very exciting.
Yeah, I mean, the strategic planning around this sort of comprehensive capital outlay process is very humbling. And then the partnership, of course, with Todd and the budgeting piece of it. And you go from anywhere, especially somebody with like you, you're able to take those granular, real detailed aspects of these outlay plans, but also see the big vision of where it's moving. And you can speak to that when you look at the LPN and the healthcare, you know, by and large, that area that you're renovating and what the needs are in the community and how what we're doing in the public school system impacts long-term employment for the community. And it's just, it's really humbling when we break it down. And I mean, it all seems real easy when we sit here and kind of look at this, and your report is just, you know, beautifully articulated, but the behind the scenes piece really speaks volumes to all of you that are involved in that. And it's a very humbling process.
Yeah, a lot of people are involved in this whole process, so.
Yes.
I just wanted to add that back when we were working on the bond, we really tried to focus on communicating that we weren't just building a high school and we weren't just building an elementary school. And so I love when we get these updates because it's a reminder to us that we're really investing in each of our buildings within the district and looking at what it is that they need. So whether it's a drop-off lane or additional storage space or additional music classrooms or a renovated gym or whatever it might be, that it's important that our students, regardless of where they go to school in the district, have an equal access to the same types of facilities that they would if they lived on any part of town. And so I love that about these updates is that we can really see how we're investing our dollars across the city from the people who are giving us the money from their taxes, and then we're reinvesting that in all of our students, not just in certain parts of town or certain schools. So I think you guys do a great job of kind of keeping track of what's been replaced or what's been, you know, done on each school and where we at with that. And it's important for us to do that so that we can continue that upkeep of our buildings and make sure that all of our students have access to the great facilities that we have that are well maintained. So thank you for your time and detail to that too. But yeah, just a reminder that we really do want to invest in all of our buildings across town. So.
Yeah, thank you. I think we ought to point out that this will be the culmination of that $190 million bond, that the last two projects are included in here. So hats off to you to, you know, get that thing through and move it forward. So.
Well, Carly, thank you. I think equitable access across all our buildings and programs is very important for us to invest in. Mark, anything?
You guys take it all.
Right, just wanted to give you a chance.
And we just have to hope the bids come in right.
That's what I'm saying now.
All right, so hearing is closed. Can I get a motion and a second to acknowledge the public hearing?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. That motion passes.
Okay, next I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Veek for both the finance report and then we'll have just a brief legislative update.
Hey, thank you. Just real quick. We're halfway through the year, or as of this report anyway, December. We're, of course, a lot of it doesn't kick in our spending until September. So we're 40% of our way through the budget. Our revenue's at 42%, our expenditures at 40%. This is the second to last year of our budget being very heavily affected by ESSER funds, which are COVID relief funds. So we will build a 5-year budget plan that phases our way out of it after next year. So that's a great amount of our revenue, and that federal revenue, and that, we've got budgeted $23 million. $23 million in our general fund, and typically that number might be around 12 or something like that. So that is the part of the revenue side of the budget is really being affected by that. So we'll switch over to SPED. So on the special education fund, our revenues are coming in a little bit higher than they were last year. We've received 46% of our revenue. State aid comes in more evenly than our expenditures flow. So we're at 46% in our revenues received. And we've spent about 36.7% of the budget, kind of right on target with last year. The state aid amount in special ed we're relatively certain of because we lock in on that December count prior to locking in our budget. So the special ed fund is about right on target. Capital outlay, we also have a pretty good idea when we set our final levies in September what our valuation is, and most of our revenue is driven by what our valuation is and what our levy is. So in the capital outlay fund, we're on target as well. That's real brief. Look at the budget so far. Like I said, we're about 40% of our way through spending the budget, and I would stand by for questions and also ask that you acknowledge the semi-annual budget update.
Thanks, Todd. Any questions? Okay. Seeing none, can I get a motion and a second to approve the fiscal year 23 semi-annual finance report?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That motion passes.
And then another quick report is the legislative update. It's been about 2 weeks. Tomorrow will be, I guess, the beginning of the third week of the legislative session. It's kind of been slow, it seems like. Anyway, I'm sure it will pick up. We have evaluated we've evaluated several Senate bills, 7 of those, and we support, or actually 8, we support 7 Senate bills, and we oppose 1. The one we're opposing or recommending to oppose is on reducing compulsory attendance age from 18 to 16. And then on the House side, there's really only 3 bills we're tracking, and we support all of those. So this is a kind of a new document for us this year. It's updated and it's interactive and it's online. You can go and you can click in through different areas in it. So that's new. I think it's working out pretty well for people to keep up to date on where we're at on our positions instead of maybe looking at it once every 2 weeks or so. So I would just ask that, well, I'd take any questions you might have, but then if you don't have any amendments to any of our positions, I'd ask that you approve those positions to make it official.
Thanks, Todd. Any questions? I mean, I know it's probably a lot of work for you all to put it in this format, but because we only meet twice a month, it was important to us as board members to have a more interactive review of the bills, because we know that they come fast and furious during a very short period of time. So I think it's working well for us to review and then for it to be out there for public view as well. So I do appreciate all the work that's gone into this, because I know it is a lot more work than prior versions, but I like the format, so appreciate that.
Great.
All right, no other comments. Can I get a motion and a second to approve the 2023 legislative update?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Positions stand. Anything else for the good of the order? Okay, all right. Can I get a motion and a second to adjourn, please?
So, second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. We are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.